Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm going to sit here and chill until people start joining. I know the lighting's weird, isn't it? That's cool. I wonder if I can figure some stuff out before everybody starts joining in. Um, who loves shrimp? Good morning. How you doing? Oh, let me switch this. See, I got to learn how to switch things again. I got to remember how to do all of this. It's been too long. Been way too long. It's a wonderful Tuesday morning. I got a little bit of coffee. I'm going to need a refill. I should have prepped better, but I didn't. Yes, I do too. I really do. And that's kind of what made me want to do this because I've been looking in the mornings trying to see if I find anything that I like, could watch, keep myself entertained in the mornings, but haven't seen much. So, while I have the time, yeah, I jumped on here. Figure we'd do some hanging out and chatting. We'll see. It yesterday was fun because it was just nice to see a bunch of the old crew. I mean, I know we didn't have very many of us, but still, it was fun. I need to try to get in touch with Jess and see what's going on. What's going on, Jess? How you doing? I know she was in transition with her aquariums and everything, but and honestly, it was last Christmas, not this past one, but the one before, where Joe contacted me, her husband, and I gave him some recommendations for Christmas gift. Yeah, see, and I don't even I haven't even watched a whole bunch myself. So, who's to blame in my absence from putting out videos and streaming and everything? I kind of just fell off of watching what's going on, really, here and there, of course. Um, Trying to get back into it, but I've really been focused more on my room. Can't always concentrate on fish content, and hanging out live is good. Yeah, I know, because then we get to talk about whatever. Just have to, and that's kind of why I did this. Instead of being in my fish room, where it kind of forces us to keep on topic and talk about aquariums, I don't know. Let's talk about whatever. I'm comfortably sitting on my couch, which is nice. Um, and we can always travel that direction if we really want to, but let's just chat and see what's going on. Enjoy some coffee. Good morning, Cooley. Nano Aquarium guy, good morning. Yeah, I know. I have to. I wish there was a way to make it bigger. They need the, like on the phones, how you can make it old people font and and make the text bubble like this big. That's what I need on the computer. Good morning, vibes. How you doing? Uh, it's a little chilly here for us Texans. Right now, what's the actual temperature? I don't even have my phone on me. It's over there, but it's like mid 30s. So that's chilly for us. Supposed to get down in the 20s. That's really cold for us. I know other people have to deal with a little bit different weather situations and such, but hey, stay warm. Ooh, -1, 40 degrees there with vibes. You're in Iowa? Okay, yeah. My roommate's daughter is in Iowa, I believe. She's trying to work her way back down before she goes back to her home in New York. I'm not New York, Washington. I don't know why I said New York. Cool deal. We got a few people in here, a few people jumping in, jumping out, whatever. I know. The picture looks funny. It's that bright light right here, isn't it? I love shrimp. Who else loves shrimp? Let's see. Let me do this. That's better. Peace. Yeah, the heat down here, it was pretty rough this summer. Every summer. Some are worse than others. It looks like this winter's going to be one of those for us Texans that's worse than others. The one thing I've noticed over the course of time, back in the day, I used to keep a weather journal because I was into fishing. So I did a lot of pro am tournaments on the tournament trail around here, the pro am circuit. So I used to keep a weather journal, and the weather patterns from 1995 compared to now, 30 years later, it's wow. It's different and seemingly more drastic, but it's hard to tell. It's really hard to tell, but it's different. I know that's for sure. What's how far are we from Austin? Austin is about 3.5 hours away because Austin is in the middle of the state. We're in the north side. Remember, I live right here, right next to Dallas. I'm just east of Dallas. My favorite shrimp these days, ooh, of course, mine. But my PRLs are rank way up there as far as my favorite, just because of the variety within the variety, the variety that I'm getting. Like I said, one banded versus three banded versus two banded, um, and I like them all. So I'm kind of trying to figure out which is my favorite. The no entry spot on the back, which means basically it's just kind of like a circle with a slash across it. That's really cool pattern. The lightning bolt on the side. That's kind of cool. Um, so I really like the PRLs. They're one of my favorites. And then of course the black galaxies are so Caradina shrimp, basically. Mishlings and pure red lines. The black galaxies, like I said, that's been a project of mine now. And I was really fortunate because when I first moved here to this house, I pretty much lost everything. And I didn't even think a new house. Was a brand new house when we moved in. So, new house, new problems, right? Well, I didn't think it would bleed into my fish room, and it did because I didn't have a nozzle to do my RO water, so I couldn't fill my tanks. And I was stuck for about a week of trying to find the right adapters and everything before I just replaced my entire faucet so it would fit my RO unit. And by that time, I lost pretty much everything. So these shrimp were donated to me from, I don't know, Grant and Shelby had shrimp that were donated to them, I guess, for the shrimp contest. So I got some black Galaxy Pintos, three of them, and they looked like just plain black Pintos. Maybe one of them had a backline, the other one looked kind of metallic, and those three shrimp, I've managed to breed them into what I have now. And the fact that I have blue bolts and I have yellow shrimp and I have some really cool looking pattern shrimp and I have purple metallic shrimp, all from these three original shrimp. That's kind of cool too. The Lone Star Cares convention. Um, isn't you mean the cichlid convention? Aren't they doing a cichlid convention down there? The cichlid ACA? I think that's in San Antonio this year, or there's one in San Antonio this year, right? Is that what you're talking about? You can't see all the other comments? That's more fun than getting an entire colony that shows you know what you were doing. Thanks, man. It feels that way. And that's kind of like in my video yesterday when I was putting it out, I made a comment somewhere in the video where I said the proofs in the in the pudding, right? I mean, just look at the shrimp. I'm not saying I will never be one to self proclaim I am an expert. I am the best. This way is to do this and do that. No, if you know me, that's not at all what I want or try to express. What I do is I make my mistakes and hopefully share what I've learned from those mistakes. And throughout the years, this is what I've developed. This is what works for me. And I'm building my own colonies from scratch. That's really, really fun. It makes me feel good about what I've learned. You know what I mean? I don't need any other accolades to tell me anything. I can look in my aquariums and see, it's finally. And the biggest thing I can say isn't my knowledge or my supreme understanding of shrimp keeping or anything like that. No, man. The one thing that I have been able to do for the past almost 2 years now that I haven't been able to do over the past 6 years is the stability of having the room. I've started this room as a fish room and it's become what it's become. And the stability of not moving my tanks, not moving my shrimp, not moving from place to place. That's been the number one key to success. Good morning, fishy things. The best shrimp, bacon wrapped cream cheese shrimp. Okay, well, I'm not going to try to prove you wrong. That's pretty accurate. Oh, it's all coming together for one convention. Is that happening there in San Antonio? I just saw that, where I just realized last night watching a Grant Shelby stream that the Aquatic Expo's in like 2 weeks. And I know they're not doing the international shrimp contest this year there, but I would kind of like to go. I mean, especially since it doesn't seem like there's much happening on the Aquashella front right now. I want to be around fishy people. And I've never been to an aquatic expo. And it'd give me an excuse to kind of go hang out with the Bloomfields if they're available. I mean, Ree said, I have an open invitation, and Rob kind of just whatever. Cool deal. We got like 10 of us so far. So everybody got coffee and all that fun stuff? No, we went back down to 9. Fishy people are great. Yeah, besides that vibes guy. Yeah, I know. He's kind of a weirdo, man. He really likes Mexican food and stuff. I need to I need to figure out how to do multiple cameras. That's It's probably going to take me 3 minutes to watch a video and go, "Duh, that's how you do it." But that's besides the point, okay? We're going to ignore that right now. But I need to learn how to do that so that way I could have like I could be able to go look at tank number 1 and look at tank number 2. I need a drone in my fish room. That would be kind of cool. I already drank too much coffee and now I'm on the toilet. Hey man, that's what, coffee just it does help keep you regular. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. When I think back to like in 2018-ish, oh, golly, this wow. This 2025, so approximately 7 years ago, um, I was really dead set on my aquarium the way that I wanted to set up an aquarium. And I started going through YouTube watching some of the aquascaping videos from back in the day. And that's kind of where I started delving into the YouTube world. And I think back to, I remember being at work. I worked remotely. So I remember being at work in my work shirt on top and my pajama pants on bottom and sitting there at my workstation, my desk in my bedroom. And I'd be working on stuff at work while I had my actual PC running YouTube. I remember having my meetings. We'd have our conferences, our conference calls, national conference calls, whatever, the CEOs talking and blah, blah, bitty, blah, bitty, all the corporate stuff that, rah, 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 moving forward as we progress, blah, blah, bitty, blah, bitty. Yeah, I was one of those guys. But while they were doing all that stuff, we didn't have Zoom. We weren't required to be on camera. So I'd be sitting back there pulling algae out of my aquariums, listening. And then every once in a while, I'd type something so I'd be engaged. OBS is a good option for multiple cameras. Yeah. And I have OBS. I've just never done it. And I remember when me and Jason first started streaming way back, we were going to do our first stream and he set everything up on OBS. And I went over to his house about 2 hours early so we could prepare for our first stream. And he was like going through OBS, trying to figure everything out and how to make it work. And the audio wasn't working right, or then the right camera, it wasn't doing it right. And then he wanted to have the, the borders, and, all the fancy stuff to it. And I was just like, screw that StreamYard. And then when I started streaming, that's what I did, is I just went to StreamYard, and I want to stream, go live, click, there you go. Oh, somebody wants to join. Okay, share the link, boom, and you join. The problem with the I would always run into is that if I got my phone out and decided I wanted to put my phone on an aquarium, uh, the feedback, and I couldn't ever how to ever figure that out without just shutting it off completely. So I kind of just, I'm not going to mess with it. I give up too easily on stuff like that, which is bass backwards, because when I was 14 years old, long, long time ago, I ran across these things called pet Commodore computers, and I delved into computer software and programming, and I've been a computer nerd ever since. And I learned programming and all that fun stuff, but I don't know how to do some of the simple stuff that is doing these things, like multiple cameras. I know it's stupid. I just don't try. That's honestly. Hey, look, there's Jay Oliver. What's up, dude? Morning. Good to see you. And you're thinking back before you knew that Vibe Sky, how peaceful it was. What's up, Bane Girl? Good morning. The algorithm brought you here. Well, cool deal. We're a bunch of aquarium nerds, fish family people. I'm Papa Shrimp. Nice to meet you. I'd introduce you to some of the other people, but they're probably already saying hi to you in the chat. So yeah, anyways, that was what, 8 years ago when I was doing the YouTube thing, and my son kept on telling me, Dad, you need to put your aquariums on YouTube. And I was like, whatever, man. YouTube, schmootube. And I always ignored my son when it came to YouTube. I should have listened to him. I'd be a billionaire right now if I would have listened to him 15 years ago, whenever it was he first started telling me to do a channel. But I digress. So, as it's progressed, the way YouTube kind of helped me learn about what I could do with my planet aquariums and the aquascaping techniques, type of soils, CO2. And then I ran across Lucas's channel. I ran across Corey's channel. I ran across Flip Aquatics channel. And I started getting into the more specialized stuff. And then through watching them, that's how I ran across Jason at Jadron Aquatics, realized he was local, realized he had a print shop. So I had multiple interests of why I wanted to speak with him. And then it kind of just progressed from there. The main thing for me, and I think back then for the fish family, was the big fish events like Aquashella. Aquashella just blew the rooftop out of the way we gathered. And, Fish Tube, as it was called one time, that was pretty cool deal. And to be involved with that was pretty cool. Ooh, nice to meet you, Papa Shrimp. I'm a lover of the fish. Cool. I love fish too, but I love shrimp. Johnny Best, good morning. Well, yeah, I have pictures. I was going through them. I have so much video and pictures that never before seen. So I need to do a video like that, never before seen, or something that shows the difference in Aquashella in 2019 versus, well, Aquashella happened, and then house fire and COVID happened. Then Aquashella happened again with the first one that we went to, me and Jason. I tried to record all of it, and most of my recordings. Hold on a second. I got a cough. Most of my recordings of the Aquashella in Orlando, Florida, 2021, uh, was my camera, my phone in my hand doing this because I messed up the order of operations. And I'd walk around and then I'd get somewhere and I'd hit record and I'd record whatever I'm recording and then hit pause and walk around. And so the video, it's all just my phone swinging back and forth. Yeah, the rookie move. I love planet tanks, but then I make the mistake of adding a little baby koi. Now the only plant I'm allowed to have. Good morning, Carrie. How you doing? Yes, I am selling shrimps. Just hit me up on email. I'm doing the PRLs, of course, the red pintos and the black galaxies, um, and blue neos. I'll get to the green one. Eventually, I'll start selling greens when I stabilize them more. They're still popping out some clear shrimp, some orange shrimp. So pretty soon I'll have orange shrimp again. Yeah. Um, and as a matter of fact, the first Aquashella I went to, Carrie was there. And for me, like when I went to that Aquashella, it was very early in my Papa Shrimp days. I remember I had 4 subscribers when I arrived in Chicago that morning for Aquashella, and 2 of them were my children. The other one was me. So I really didn't have subscribers. And I went to that Aquashella and I was just amazed because I was standing in the lobby of the hotel room. And it was a cool hotel, pricey, but it was cool. And I'm sitting in the lobby. It's got all these couches, and there's a restaurant on the other side of the main entrance on the backside of the elevators, and then the reception counter over here. And then there's a little table, bar table off to the side. Well, I see a bunch of people there talking and drinking, and I look around. I see like Rachel, uh, O'Leary. I see Joey. I see Lucas. I see a bunch of people I don't know that I could tell were like me, just small people, smaller channels, whatever. And then I saw Stephen Conroe, and the only reason I recognized him was because we had been chatting on Flip Aquatics stream and LRB stream, and I saw he did a video with Lucas where he gave him his hood so he could move rocks to the pond he was doing in the backyard. And so I walked up and I was like, dude, that was a pretty kick-ass idea that you did there. And he was like, oh, hey, man, what's going on? You're Papa Shrimp. Okay, cool. And then we started hanging out. Next thing you know, and it was like, it was amazing. It was amazing to be around all the fishy people and the YouTubers. And to me, I'm like I said, I had 4 subscribers when I arrived there. When I left Chicago, I think I had like 19. But that's kind of what got me going. And the YouTubers that I met were so supportive. And honestly, I've created a lot of friendships just from that trip. So I kind of miss, I'm going to miss that, what we used to have, because it came and then it went away for COVID and then it came back strong and then it faded fast. And now it's kind of like we all just have to get on everybody's stream and wave at each other through this. And at least when you're at my level, I know there's a lot of people traveling around and going to every show possible because, you know, they're being asked to speak or they're running booths or whatever. But when you're just me, it's just, I'm more of a viewer than a doer, I guess, in this from this perspective. Does that make sense? I'm not as much of a player as I used to be. Like, I'm not out there trying to run a booth and sell shrimp. Right now, there's no shrimp contest to be judging, so not doing that. Let's see who else come in. Yes, it is a good community. Look, there's Jeff Kane. Good morning. Nice to see you. We're just hanging out, talking stuff. Like I said, that's why I'm not even in my fish room, because I kind of wanted to leave it open. We can talk about whatever. I don't know what everybody's into. Besides, all my fishy people, what are we all into? Well, aquariums, fish, plants, shrimp, snails, whatever. All of it, all of the above. But I do miss hanging out. I do miss talking to people. I do miss nerding out. I saw a comment on one of my videos that Jason was like, "You're making me want to set up aquariums again." And I'm like, "Do it, Jason." He sent me a picture of his fish room. Since he moved out to the property and everything, he never redid his fish room. He started to, but he never did. And now he sent me a picture, and his sons turned his fish room into a jam room. There's a drum set in there. I was like, awesome. Hey, Debs. Good morning. All the way from the other side of the pond. Thanks, Jeff. It's good to be. Like I said, I didn't know. I've been kind of wanting to get back on Wednesday nights like I was doing, but at the same time, it just, I don't know. And then I miss not having streams in the mornings. Yeah. So right now, while I have the opportunity and I have the time, I figured I'd jump on here and hang out in the mornings. I mean, normally, which I'm probably going to do here in a little bit, is start doing a little bit of water top offs in my aquariums, a little bit of maintenance, moving stuff around. I used to be really, really tentative about moving shrimps from tanks to tanks, but like I said, before this, setting up and tearing down and setting up again and tearing down and setting up again became a a skill, an acquired skill, and I got very good at it. So now it's I'm much more comfortable doing anything that I do as far as moving stuff around, and with the stability, like I said, that I have, it's good in there. That room is solid. Just look at the videos, watch, see the production. It's awesome. It's birthday. Happy birthday to you. I need to do a little video thing, splashy thing. But again, I'm going to have to dabble while I have the time. I'm going to have to dabble in figuring out how to do some of the fancy stuff and maybe use OBS, do multiple cameras. Um, I don't know if you can you do collaborative streams or have other people like you can on StreamYard? I like that. I like people being able to join in and having multiple people on the stream. Somebody needs to teach me. Yeah, Carrie, that was something I was going to ask. So, um, what's how's things been going with you and Jesse? I mean, last thing I saw that you did, where you went to, did you go to Canada or to go see Joey, or how did that go? I saw something about it. Like I said, I've been a very bad boy as far as keeping up with everything going on. But I saw something about that. But I wanted to ask about your book. And I know that was like, what, 2 years ago, maybe? Around there, somewhere around there. How did that go? How's that been? I got an extra heavy workload for my birthday. Hey, that's okay. You know, it was a big one for me this year to hit double five. It, it just, when I say some of the things that I say now, and I think, well, yeah, that was 30 years, 30 years ago. And that was like at the almost the midpoint of my life. I'm old. That it's so weird to do that. And like my best friend, he's 60. So he's how do you think I feel? It's rough getting old. But that's why we do what we do, right? It doesn't matter what age you are. I found pictures. I was going through, and this was funny. I was going through, like, I have, yes, pictures, like actual photographs that come in a little film developing process. So I was going through these pictures of back when I was in the army, back when I was in high school, blah, blah, bitty, blah, bitty. I saw one of the pictures that I had was when I think it was 1989 ish. It had to be 1989, 19. Yeah, it was 89. I just turned 20 years old and just gotten out of the army, got an apartment, and I had a picture that I took of my aquarium because, and it made me laugh. I picked it up and I looked. It was funky setup, but hey, it was an aquarium, and that was back in 89. How many years is that? That's too many years ago. I shouldn't have those kinds of stories, but I do. I'm grateful for it. Can't believe I've been watching Fish Fan for 4+ years. Yeah, I know. I can't believe I've been watching for as long as like I said, I'm gonna, I gotta omit the number of years now because it's gonna keep on growing and growing, and pretty soon it'll be, I got 15 years ago. That's cool. Yeah, I thought are you still making like the little fluffy things? Is that part of it too? Like my son, he started a side business. He's doing 3D printing and all kinds of really cool stuff with that. And my daughter-in-law, she's doing like t-shirts and cups and starting to get into making little fluffy thingies too. Big Steve's glass boxes. Hello. Good morning. 37 years ago. Yeah. What do you do? And it's funny how I can remember all the different aquariums. The other thing too that's really, I don't know yet. We're gonna have to test it out. It's all new. But my roommate's daughter, I had mentioned earlier, she is now living up in Washington in on base. Her husband is in the military. What's cool was that's where I was stationed back in the 80s when I was in the military. It was there at Fort Lewis. And as soon as I found out she was going to be there, of course, I was mentioning you got to check out the mountains. The view is awesome. It's spectacular up there. Um, and then the light bulb went off, and I was like, ooh, aquarium co-op. So now I'm like, how can I get her? Because I know Corey doesn't ship fish, but now I want to be like, I want to know the inside scoop on when Dean gives him a batch of black rams, so that way I can have her go over there and get me a pair, so that way she can send them to me. Right? That's probably about the only way I'll be able to do that, because I remember asking Dean. We had dinner. We had dinner together. I didn't realize for 30 minutes that I was sitting next to Dean. And we were eating, and I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting next to Dean. So take a picture. And I asked him, I was like, what did a guy like me have to do to get your black rams? And he was like, oh man, you have to come out to the shop. And I was like, oh man, but I'm here in Dallas, what do I got to do? And then the next morning he was like, yeah, I talked to Corey. Ain't nothing I could do. You got to come out here. You got to go up there to Washington. I was like, darn it. Please, please. Crochet animals like crazy. Been talking to so many people about animals and aquariums, being my own vendor. That's cool. That's awesome. It kind of expands it because it's not such a niche market too, right? You get to do a little. You get to like go to an aquarium thing selling little crochet animals and fishes and stuff, and still be relevant, and also sell at like Comic-Con if you make little animals that match comics, right? That's kind of like my son. I keep on telling him, I was like, the more you expand your offerings, the more that because of this product, you'll be able to sell here. And because of this product, you'll be able to sell here. And maybe even bleed over. You get sales from the other product because you're out here selling these stuff, anyways. I don't know. You never know, right? Is it okay if I do a plug? Yeah, sure. Do a plug. Plug away. I'm not worried about it. I'm not, again, I'm not running a business or anything and trying to get you to come to my place and buy my stuff. I wish. If you want to buy some shrimp, definitely. Especially not having work right now. Definitely could use the help any way I get. I got plenty of moss and plenty of shrimp. So let me know. I don't have like every variety, but I have what I do have, I have plenty of, if that makes any sense. PRLs. As a matter of fact, the special that I was trying to do was 25 for 125 to celebrate 2025. That makes any sense. But not everybody wants 25 shrimp. So if you want 10 shrimp, I'll do 75. Include shipping for 75 bucks. Just let me know. I got plenty of blue Neos. I think over the past 2 weeks, I've sold like 75 of the blue Neos to my nephew. He wanted a tank, and he came and took the tank and stand and everything that I had, and then filled it with shrimp. I'm a small new channel. I write my own music and I play it to a fish tank background. Hey man, that's cool. I write my own music too. The videos I've done lately, I haven't put a whole lot of music, but usually the music that I do put on my videos is my music, stuff that I wrote. I'm a drummer. Been a drummer since I was little. I guess since I was 7. That's what I've always said my whole entire since I was 7 years old. I've been a drummer, and that puts 48 years of drumming. I played drums in the army band. Played drums in college. Played drums in high school, marching band, all that fun stuff. That's why I got the long hair. Because I was a heavy metal rock and roller. I still am. What am I saying? Was. Let's see. My son makes figurines from his street art. Yeah. Do these shrimp come? Shh, shh. Vibes, you're making me hungry. No, I don't have any Celuisi. I have PRLs. I have Black Galaxy Pintos, Red Pintos, um, and Blue Neos. Those are what I have plenty of to sell. Um, and I'm not going to try to go crazy and carry everything. Like my PRLs, that's what I like about my PRLs is because they're not just crystal shrimp. They're pure red lines and they're nice. You know, you're not going to find PRLs at this price just in this quality. Maybe, but I've been working on them for a long time. I got them to a point, like I said, to where I want to have multiple offerings. Kind of like Lucas back in the day, he had his Blue Colony A and Blue Colony B. And so you'd pay for the A's because they were the super, super blue ones. And the B's were super blue also, but they were just, not cold as well. I just had to take my son to school. His bus didn't run. Too much snow? You got 13 inches in Hot Springs? Holy cow. Are your purple shrimp caradinas? Yes. A vet, a drummer. See? Lots of things in common. I had an aquarium when I was up in Fort Lewis. Like I said, I had an aquarium there. Aquarium co-op didn't exist. I think Corey was still in diapers probably. But or may have not even been born. I don't know. Corey's pretty young. That means I'm old. Talking about shrimp with barbecue sauce. Well, not too bad. 13 people. So it's like 9:50. We've been doing this almost an hour. And yes, I'm going to try to figure out how to do a coffee break. But let me see. Because what I'd like to do. Oh, I'll do it this way. Let's see if I can learn how to do things the right way. Doop doo doop doo. Doop doop doo. I think if I do this and I do this and then I share this and then I do that and then I do this. Wait, no, wrong. And then I do this, right? Yep, that's how we do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this video on and go grab some coffee. So if you can watch it if you want to, or you can go grab some coffee too. But I'll be right back. So let's just talk about it. Of course, this colony right here of black galaxies, it does have substrate on the bottom of the tank. Now, this was after I had set up no substrate, and then I kind of wanted to experiment with substrate. So on the top row of this rack in particular, where this tank is located, I have two with no substrate and two with substrate. Actually, two and a half, because one of the tanks that originally had no substrate, I did put a small layer of substrate because I wanted to see something. And what I'm finding is that as much as I like the no substrate at all, that little thin layer of substrate kind of helps catch the little small debris particles in the water. This one has just a thin layer of substrate, and then the front part of it is just glass. This method for me became the most efficient. It's affordable, it's easy and simple to set up, and it doesn't take quite as long for everything to get dialed in. In other words, I don't really need to do a long cycle on these tanks to get them ready. Of course, I'm using filters that I do cycle in the other aquariums for a little bit. So that gives me a little bit of a head start on the process of the aquarium cycle. I like to use two boxes. It's very flexible, and that's what I love about it. Whether you put substrate on the bottom, or you keep it just a glass bottom, or you put a thin layer of substrate, or if you decide you want to use a combination of different active soils in your filter box, the flexibility is really, it's up to you. I mean, look at these shrimp. It's the proof is kind of in the pudding. But again, I have to leave the final determination up to you guys. And what do you think? Because I'm obviously going to favor to what I'm doing, and because it's working for me. So I'm trying to share and kind of get your opinion on what you think. Now, here's another shot of these shrimp in this tank. You can kind of get an idea of the pattern that I'm trying to reproduce and stabilize. It's kind of with a diamond back feature instead of a solid back line, with the row of dots going across it as well on the side. Okay, so stop sharing. Ta-da! I did it! Sorry if you didn't get enough time to get coffee. I was being selfish and I just made sure I had enough time. Besides, I don't want to just bore you with 10 more minutes of me just talking about my shrimps and how much I love my shrimps. I love shrimp. I tell you what. Tell me, vibes. Daniel, I saw that you snuck in here. Good morning. Good to see you. Is there a shrimp I want to get this year? You know what? That's really tough because I do, but I don't. If that makes any sense. Last year, actually, for the past 2 years, ever since I moved here, I wanted to get a golden tiger, Caradina shrimp. The only reason I didn't was because they were kind of pricey. So it was going to cost me like $300 to get 5 of them. I think even more than that. Yeah. It would have been $500 total with shipping and everything to get 5 of them. And so I just kept on trying to figure out ways I could save up money. I didn't want to go crazy and get, again, I'm trying to keep I want my PRLs to be the best PRLs possible. So I don't want to just have a bunch of PRLs, PBLs, Siluises, Neos of every color, every pandas and steels. And I don't want to go crazy. I don't have the tank space for it because I barely have the tank space for what I have now because of the varieties I'm getting. Like I said, I want to separate my PRLs and everything. But if I had to buy a shrimp to get some of those genetics going in my tank, it would probably be a red fishbone. I still am very, very attached to the fishbone pattern. I had some amazing fish bones at one time, but I remember I had to have an auction to move because I moved a lot in the past few years, and I pretty much had to let them go, and at a very, very low price. So the red fish bones I miss. That would probably be one. But the check off the list thing, that's what's been really cool about the Black Galaxy Pintos that I was showing you was that is I got purple metallics out of them. So check, I don't have to spend the money to get purple metallics. Now I just breed them, right? They're mine. And then I can say a year from now, when I have hundreds of them, I can say I bred those. I from scratch. Um, the golden tigers and galaxies, check. Now those black galaxies have spit those out too. So now I just got to get them to breed. And I do have a mix of female and male. So hopefully it's just they got to get old enough. Probably within the next month or two, if breeding doesn't slow down because of winter time, then I'll get those. So really the only thing left that I really, really want to work on is my own fish bones. But those black galaxies are starting to produce some fishbone patterns. So I know that if I separated them right and selectively culled, I could put some of the ones with the dots and some of the ones with starting to get the fishbone pattern and breed them together so that way I can get a nice fishbone with the dot pattern. How do you make your coffee? And do you drink it? Yes. Um, this is regular old Folgers coffee that I made in a pot. And I take it with sweet Italian cream because then I don't need any sugar. Just coffee and sweet Italian cream. That's the way I like it. But I also have a Keurig, and I bought some of the McCafe Colombian coffee K cups. That is like awesome coffee. I used to buy the bags of McCafe because I like McDonald's coffee. It's got a really good flavor. And going back to it, switching from Folgers and drinking a cup of McCafe. Mm. I do mostly cream and sugar with a splash of bean juice. That bean juice makes it sound like it's healthy or something. I don't want to have healthy stuff, even though I should. You know, got the scars to prove it and everything. Good morning, Cecil. Thanks for joining us. And like I said, I'm just having fun. I'm missing the old aquatic morning show. In no way am I trying to replace the aquatic morning show. I could never do that. And I wouldn't do that to Jess in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But I do know one thing. I do know that even though it's unspoken, that she would be thrilled and tickled pink if I was to try to get a morning show thing going again. Um, because I don't think it'd be offensive to her. I mean, and there's no ill towards between us in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's nothing but love. So I think she would get a kick out of it. Bean juice every morning, huh? So the aquatic shrimp morning show. um, yeah, kind of whatever. I mean, unfortunately, every once in a while, and most of the times when I co-host with her, we'd end up talking about nothing but shrimp, anyways. And then back then, she was sponsored by Joe's Shrimp Shack, you know. So yeah, there was a lot of focus on shrimp back then, and Dee Dee was buying shrimp left and right from me. So I know she went crazy and became the shrimp queen for a little bit. You're getting some IBC. So you're gonna do like Grant and do the big totes outdoors. He made mention to me a couple of years back. He was like, "Dude, if you want to get your shrimp colonies going, you got to get some tubs going. You're in Texas, get the tubs going." And at the time, I was sitting there thinking, "Yeah, but I'm in North Texas, and it's 20 something degrees outside right now. So tubs, I don't know. They scare me." But at the same time, I do have an indoor tub here in my fish room, 100-gallon tub that I'm using out here in there. And that thing's been like super fun, but I've kind of mistreated it and it's taken the abuse well. And maybe because it's 100 gallons of water versus, 10 gallons. But I mean, I've literally dumped stuff out of a dirty old aquarium into there, and rocks, driftwood, whatever. I just throw it in there, and it's like the most pristine, clearest water I've ever seen. The fish are happy, the shrimp are happy. Joe selling Pokemon, yeah. No, I know he he's still. I know he's still doing his shrimp shack up there in Minnesota. He just hasn't been as involved with everything as he used to be. Man, the pond, I really dig it. It's it gives me a place to do stuff. Like, I have a tank right now that is overrun with anchor moss, where I have my green neos in, and that tank is overrun with anchor moss. I mean, it's a big old ball that I have stuffed in the backside of the aquarium. So I was like, what am I going to do with it? Besides, I need to try to sell it, of course. But then I was like, I got this 100-gallon tub over here. So I'm probably today sometime going to go and trim it out of the aquarium and just dump it in to the tub and hold it. I should get a basket. I should probably get a couple of hanging baskets and hang them and put the mosses in there and let them hang, so that way they don't just go to the bottom and mix all together. But either way, I've spent many an hour sitting there pulling off Java moss or Christmas moss or whatever moss, pulling it, separating it from the Sawasser tank. And I'm like, man, I really need to do a better job of keeping these separate so I don't have to do this for hours and hours and hours, but I do it. I like to. especially if I'm going to share my moths to sell them or whatever, I want them as clean as possible. Aquatic Moose, good morning. What else has been I'm trying to think of all the different little things I've seen and been trying to keep up with. If anybody asks, if you want to know my most commonly watched shrimp channel on YouTube right now is Benny Tay. I watch his channel, Shrimp Sanctuary. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. I like what he's been doing, and watching the way that the shrimp keepers do it over there on the other side of the pond is really a lot of what's driven me towards this method of using the filter box. I've always been a big fan of under gravel filters, so I do have a couple of videos from a couple of years ago where I was experimenting with the under gravel filtration, and overall, I think it's one of the best ways to filter a tank, is with the UGFs. But then trying to do it with active substrate, and how does that work on resets? And that's what I discovered. As much as I like UGFs, the reset process is messy, uh, and you got to take everything out of the tank and pretty much start all over again. Whereas I think with this one, what I've come to find out is that I just replace the boxes when I need to do a reset, and it doesn't foul up the water so badly that I have to do a massive water change. It it's it's just right. Everything works. It's so much easier, and that's kind of noticing that, like on Shrimp Sanctuary, he's talking about using filter media baskets, and they hang on the tank full of substrate, but that's all it's there for, is just for the substrate to help stabilize the pH and buffer the pH. So kind of the same concept. Differences, I'm using mine as filter media, like a UGF, system, but in the filter box, which is easily replaceable. And I think combination sponge filter and filter box is kind of cool too, because then either way, I don't I don't have the possibility of crashing my cycle when I do changing out of either component. Let's see. Ganoxki, good morning. Peace. So yeah, and part of the video that I put out yesterday, if you haven't watched it, please do watch it. I'd like to get your opinion. I'd like to see what you guys think of it. I mean, I know, trust me, it's something that it's taken me many years of just getting the courage to think out of the box, and even though I'm thinking into a box filter, um, what I liked about it was that it's basically a sponge filter first. So it's just a plastic box version. Instead of it being on the outside, it's on the inside of the plastic box. And the fact that I can take those sponges out and replace with whatever I want to, that's kind of why I liked them. And using them is, like I said, it's awesome. I'm getting great production. My shrimp are very healthy, and it's just clean. It makes the tank look so much cleaner. And I want to do a big tank for myself. Just like I said, personal tanks are always a good thing to have, because then they're not tied to the limitations of what you're doing for a breeding tank or a production tank, or like if you're propagating plants in that tank, or if your purpose is to breed snails in that tank or fish. I like to have a personal one where it's just I can have fun with. Put whatever plants I want to, whatever substrate, doesn't matter if it's soft water, hard water. Just a fun tank. Does that make sense? So I got to do that soon. I like your method because you can use two boxes so you can change just one at a time and not mess with the cycle. Yeah. And see, here's again, I'm thinking out loud. I could be totally wrong. I don't have any scientific data to back it up, nor am I willing to put forth the effort to do so. I'm just going based off of experience and everything that I'm comfortable with. But if you have a thick layer of substrate in your aquarium, I believe that contributes to the amount of time it takes for you to properly cycle your tank. Now, from watching the dirted method, part of the reason why you can put fish in right away is because you're using dirt from the yard that already has bacteria that you're putting into the tank. And as you fill the tank, it kind of absorbs into the water column. So you can put fish in. The problem with putting fish into normally cycled tanks is that you're putting tap water and then a bunch of chemicals to kickstart the ammonia process in your tank. Well, when you have RO water and you don't have a deep layer of substrate, your water in the tank is the cycle, is it not? And that's kind of my thinking. And now, like I said, I could be totally wrong, but it doesn't scare me if I go and I take one of the boxes out, replace it with a new box, clean, brand new substrate, clean filter pads, everything, and I put it in, wait a day, and then replace the other one. Sometimes I might not even wait a day, depending on what I have in the tank. If I only have a few shrimp or I don't have any shrimp, then I replace them both at the same time. But if I have a full colony of shrimp, then yeah, I'm probably going to wait a day and then I'll replace the other one, maybe even wait a week before I replace the other one. But all of the cycle, all of the bacteria is living and thriving in the water column anyway. Does that make any sense? Now, like I said, I could be totally wrong, but I'm not scared to do that, if that makes any sense. But that's just me. Always a disclaimer, do not do what I do. Let me make the mistakes. Trust me, I'd rather I make the mistakes and then say, no, 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 don't do that. Aren't all tanks fun? Later, fishy tanks. Thanks for the sub, man. Appreciate it. Have a good day. We'll see you again. Yes, all tanks are fun. And that's the other thing about it. You don't have to put substrate and make it for your Caridina shrimps. You can just leave it as it is, as it comes in the box. Wash it off, of course, a little bit first. Put it back together. Put the airline on it. Throw it in your tank. Man, you'll be amazed at how clear your water is. I was laughing the other day when my nephew was here picking up some shrimp because he was like, "You have these boxes in all your tanks, don't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, pretty much." I said, "It reminds me of when I was a kid, when I first started keeping aquariums. All of the aquariums came with the little plastic filter box with the charcoal that you'd come and get in a little box and a little box of cotton fiber that you'd get so that you could start up your aquarium." I remember those as a kid. And it's funny to see that old school technology still being relevant and pretty much, I think, just as effective. The underground filter system, the undergravel filter system, old school technology, I think it's marvelous. Same thing with these filter boxes. Marvelous. They do the job. You know, you don't need to reinvent it. And I don't think I've reinvented it. I'm just using it modified. Just like you would modify a hang on back filter by modifying it by putting different kinds of media or, different kinds of filter floss or this and that, the same thing. But I just use substrate and using it with the intent to help me buffer the water and keep the parameters stable. Hey man, how's it going? Oh man, I appreciate that. Really, I don't know a lot, but I do. I just don't ever want to be, I'm not going to be that expert guy. I'm a fish keeper and hobbyist, and I've been doing it a majority of my life. So that's the main thing. I mean, I have to share it, right? I mean, it does me no good to keep all of this to myself. Now, some of the things I do, I know they're out there, but it's if it's working for me, is it not something to at least maybe consider? You know, and my presentation, maybe that's what I need to work on, my presentation and the way that I do it. Because I watch some of these other channels sometimes, and I'm like, man, the guys just sound so knowledgeable just because of the way he's presenting it. It sounds so knowledgeable and like such an expert, but he's saying the same thing I say. I just kind of just, yeah, I'm a meat and potatoes guy, you know. I don't need it to be all fancy, so I just say it like it is in the simplest terms, and I like to think out loud because that's where we get ideas, you know. Open mind. I got you. That was what was one of the videos I had watched from a well-known shrimp retailer, and it just kind of made me chuckle. Just seeing some of the things because they were so generalized, and and I caught myself doing the same thing. And that's something that when it comes to parameter talks, people ask me about parameters. What's the parameters? What's the best parameters to keep the shrimp in? Well, I don't know. I don't want to go there because if there's anything that I've learned in this hobby is not to chase parameters. I used to. Been there, done that. And for the longest time, that's all I did was chase parameters because I'd read the books, read the magazines, read the articles, before the internet, then start reading on the internet. What's the best way? What do I got to do? I got to keep it at this certain temperature with this certain nitrates and nitrites and the ammonia levels. And it's got to be this and that. And you got to get master test kits and you got to put all these chemicals and you got to do all this stuff and make it to where these parameters are exactly right, or else your fish are going to die. And then you go buy the fish and you put them in your aquarium and they die. And then you're like, oh crap, I didn't follow the parameters. So you go buy more stuff to put it in your. Yeah, been there, done that. So once I stopped chasing the parameters and just realizing that, I look outside and I see a pond in the backyard or whatever, and I see the fish jumping. And I'm sitting there going, wondering, who's over there adding chemicals or putting additives in there and making sure that the fish are going to stay alive and the parameters are staying stable? Nobody. It's happening naturally. So what do I got to do to make it happen naturally in this glass box aquarium that I have? Nothing. Leave it alone. And that's one of the biggest things that I've learned is just leave it alone. Stop messing with it. Let it happen naturally. And that's kind of, it's taken me a long time to learn that. And by doing that, that's why this method for me is just, I love it. It just, it does. And you can put substrate if you want to. You can put plants. You can do it in a planted tank if you want to. It doesn't matter. You can put a hang on back filter with it. You can use double sponge filter. It doesn't matter. It, as far as a standalone filtration, works great. As an additional filtration, works great. For glass bottom aquariums, works great. I have a lot of confidence in it just because over the past 2 years, especially, it's just really old school technology, simple but effective. Longfin snow whites. I think he does. Well, he did. Didn't I have some of the longfin snow whites? Or are they just snow whites? I think they were longfin. That was a beautiful fish. It sucked having to move. Like I said, moving almost ended my YouTube career, almost ended my fish keeping hobby because when I lost everything, I wanted to give up, but I didn't. I didn't. I just stopped streaming, stopped worrying about putting out videos, and mainly focused on just doing what I enjoyed doing. And by itself, by doing that, and then I started doing videos, and my son gave me an idea to do the rack videos, one rack at a time. And that made me, after I doing those videos, it made me want to clean up my tanks and do some changes and upgrade. And now I have. And so now I'm off on a different tangent and I haven't done any more rack videos, but I'm having fun. So yeah. You're stealing this idea? Yes, I do mix RODI water with minerals. Um, I do the basically I like to keep it at around 130. It depends. My PRLs and PBLs, I like to keep them around 150, 160, but all the rest of them anywhere between 120, 135 is about where I'm most. I'll go as low as 110, I don't as long as they're within that range, no higher than 140 for my Caradinas, and I don't like it when they get too low either. Um, I have noticed that if the TDS is too low, depending on the type, like the tangerine tigers and the fish bones, they prefer a little bit more TDS. When it's too low, they drop eggs. Um, and I learned the hard way. So I like to keep it up there. 110, 140 is most common range that I use. And then Neos, of course, around 250, 225 to 275, maybe on the TDS side. But the Neos are a little bit more forgiving. They just like the Neos that I have, they don't grow as fast because their water is softer. So and colder. I don't put any heaters or so I keep them just like I would my Caradinas basically with a little bit higher TDS. And so they don't grow as fast. They're still very plentiful and abundant and they breed like crazy, but they just don't grow as fast. If that makes any sense. I'm sure if I put a heater in there, and well, definitely a heater would help. And I used a little, like maybe if I put a one of those wonder shells in the Caradina Neo Caradina tank, they'd probably just and they'd be everywhere. The learning the hard way is why I do RODI water for all of my tanks now. Because when I moved out here and we were on the well, I figured well water, psh, no problem. I went crazy, and for my Neo Caradina tanks and Guppy tanks, I filled them up with the well water and just filled them up with fish, and started wondering why I was having losses or why they weren't breeding or what was going on with those aquariums. But I wasn't having any issues with my Caradinas. They were doing great, but I was using filtered water. And then after testing my well water, I realized, yeah, big mistake, huge mistake. Um, then I just went to RODI, and it's made life so much easier. Even at the shop with Jason, when we were doing that in the fish room behind his print shop, having to add the chemicals to the water was kind of that was something that I just didn't enjoy doing. We had a big old tub that we pumped water from to fill all of the tanks in the fish room, and we'd put the chemicals in there. But still, like I said, I don't like. I'd rather it do naturally as much as possible. Some supplements and bacteria powders and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm all for that, and of course foods, but as much of it naturally, that's the best thing for me. RODI water gives you the opportunity to do so, just like if you used rainwater. The fact that that's it's clean ish. Hey, look, fish family, what's up? Good morning. Cool. It's good to see people hanging out. This has been fun these past 2 days. Now tomorrow, what do you think? Okay, I mean, so what? We've had max people here this morning, maybe 15 people. So would it be too much of a distraction or an overstepping if we were to stream tomorrow at the same time that Rob is streaming with Flip Aquatics? You know, I don't know if that's a etiquette thing. We don't want to go there and mess with it, out of respect to Rob, blah, blah, bitty, blah, bitty. What do you think? I'm good either way. Like I said, I don't have anything going on tomorrow either in the morning other than usual stuff until I find some work, maybe, hopefully, someday. Um, but yeah, that's kind of up to everybody else what we want to do tomorrow. We could always do it at 10 after. Go ahead and stream tomorrow. I'm for it. Don't bother me none. I mean, it's just me, little old Papa Shrimp. I ain't, the 12 of us or 15 or 20 people, even if we all hang out together in the morning, I don't think it's going to take away from his viewership in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So we'll see. So, you know, football stuff, football season is going on. This sport thing I used to be a big fan of and be so engaged in it, but I didn't even know that it was already like playoff time or something like that. Isn't the Super Bowl coming soon? Something like I don't know. I haven't been paying attention. I'm a hockey guy. I love me my Dallas Stars. Hey MC, what's going on? I like your new logo stuff, man. Looks good. You got your L471s to spawn. Yes, definitely, man. Cool deal. Which ones were the ones that I had? I didn't get them from you. I think I got them from Dan's Fish several years back. I think they were 331s or 333s. All I know is they were the dwarf snow plecos, and they stayed small. They weren't the ones that got big, the big snowball pleco. I forgot 331 or 330. Maybe it was 340. I'm not sure. Don't get me quoting my L numbers because I'm way off. That's why when Jason would always try to tell me, yeah, the L this and the L that and the L this, I'm like, Which was the sticker doesn't say L anything. It just says, Tiger Pleco, super red, long, super red. Oh yeah, definitely, man. I'd love to get on with you guys. Hit me up, send me an email, or DM me or whatever. However people do it these days. I don't know. Is it the 471s? All I know is they were awesome. Yeah, it was Dan's fish. Let's see. I'll look it up. Dwarf. I know can't spell. And then I think who's the guy that I was watching that was breeding these plecos up in Canada? Um yeah, the 471s, mini snowball plecos. Yeah, you're right. Well, of course you are. But do, 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 do. I'll shut up now. Yeah, they're awesome, man. I love them. And I remember I had uh I, at Jason's. I had them at Jason's, and in the transition, I lost them. Yeah, it was the 471s because they stay small. They don't get big like the 201s. Yeah, is that what they're? And they're not the other. What's the other ones that look like snowballs, but they're a 300 number? Jason had those at his shop. I think they were 333. I think. Yeah, hopefully Jason does do uh, a few tanks and get set up again. Um, I think it's kind of cool if seeing my videos is helping him get inspired a little bit. I'm sure he misses it, but he's also been very busy building, getting everything going out there. Three different sizes of snowballs. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. See, any of the other things, species of fish, whether it be plecos, whether it be guppies, the killifish, all of the it scares me because I know that before the house fire, when I was breeding the cutapunks, I had a tank that was breeding and then they bred. So I moved the parents into another tank and they bred. And then I moved the parents to another tank. And then I got another trio and I had them in another tank. And then eventually I had to get a 40 gallon so I could have all of the fry in the 40 gallon. And then I had another 20 gallon with the adults. Um, so when I start having success with my breeding, then I start getting more tanks and then separating and then more tanks. So I got to have a garage tank now too. And then these are the freshly born fry. And then over here is my breeding tank. And then just like with the shrimp, I end up having 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 aquariums for one species. So I had wanted to get some bettas a while back, but I was like, no, 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 don't do it, don't do it. Don't get into bettas because then you'll end up with 1,000 jars of fish on your wall. You know, I'm an addict when it comes to my aquariums. Yes, breeding takes space. And that's kind of why I tried to stay with the small things, if that makes any sense. Or, I did the clown killifish, and I was like, even if I end up with 10 5-gallon tanks, it's still only 10 5-gallon tanks. But I do. I have 10 5-gallon tanks pretty much that I have all these clown killifish. And because I was so successful and I didn't think ahead on how I was going to manage, I just assumed I'm going to breed them and then they're going to sell. And then I will breed more and then they'll sell. And the problem is I haven't really done a good job of selling or even like trying to let anybody know that I have them if they want to sell them. So I have hundreds of clown killifish now. And I got to figure out what to do. So I got to kind of revamp my racks, but I'm trying to do it in a smart way that it's going to be more efficient. I want to utilize the tank space properly instead of having just to get more tanks because I'm not using the tanks that I do have properly. Yeah, it's just one of those things, right? You start, especially when you start having success, and same thing. I wanted one of those racks in my room to be for the German Rams, and I wanted also another portion of that rack to be for Cutapunks because I like those. Out of the cichlids, those are my favorites, the small ones. I don't like the big ones. I mean, I do, but I don't want to mess with it. I want my tanks to stay small, if at all possible, for the most part. Now, if I ever get to a point where I'm farming, I mean, I know I'm going to need it. I'm already at that point with my PRLs. I really need to have like 120-gallon tank, with just PRLs. But at the same time, why? But I want to. I want and need two different things. Yes, I can and I will ship. And I'm not as scared of it as I used to be, you know, and the boxes, like I said, that I have are pretty thick styrofoam foam boxes. It almost make they're so nice that it almost makes me want to put a sticker. Please return to this address. But yeah, I kind of want to go up here to A to Z Aquatics and talk to Sue, see if she wants any of my fish. Like I said, hundreds of clown killifish and my PRLs. I need to get them out of my tanks and get them into other people's tanks. I don't want them just to overpopulate, and I don't want to just throw them into tanks because I don't have enough space. I mean, they're pretty. They're really, really nice shrimp. So I want to see if maybe she'll sell them. I'd love it if retailers, anybody out there that's, you know, if you're selling shrimp and you need some PRLs, let me know. I could use a little bit of money to throw back into the fish room and do more things. Right now, that's kind of why I'm at a standstill. That's what happens when you lose a job. You gotta put your money in the right places. So right now, I'm not spending any money on my fish room, and I have some tanks. I want to change them out. I want to do some updating. I want to do some maintenance, swap out resets, etc., etc. But anyways, let's see where are we at. 10:43. 10:43. Almost 2 hours. Um, I think we've had a good morning. And leave some comments on what you think. If you catch this on the replay, let me know if you think about tomorrow. Um, we'll see. We'll probably do it again tomorrow. Like I said, I'm having a good time hanging out with everybody and talking shrimp, tanks, fish, plants, whatever. Okay, MNC, sounds good, man. Yeah, definitely. Let's hook up. You can't catch replay. Why not? Interesting. But anyways, awesome. We'll see. We'll see you again tomorrow, probably. Most likely. Yeah, we'll see. Awesome. Thank you, Fish Fam. I appreciate it. Help us grow. Help all of us grow. I mean, it's amazing what I've seen happen over the past few years, and it's only going to get better. Thanks to everybody. So have a good one. Peace. I love shrimp.